welcome back to my channel. I am the Masked Trans, and before we get started, I want to say what's up to my peeps, and I want to give a middle finger to the creeps, and you already know who you are. Alright, so it's season 3, episode 2 of Pose. Now, last week's episode, I was a bit hard on the episode, but let me tell you something. Hold on, let me adjust this just a little bit. Okay. Alright, so I was a little hard on them last week. I thought the episode was a bit lackluster, if I'm being completely honest. But this week, Pose bought the heat. This week, Pose did not come to play. They did not disappoint. Where do we even start? So let me see what happened here during this episode. So Blanca finally meets her man's parents. And just like I was talking about in last week's video, it was just as I suspected. He basically took her around his parents, and he had no idea that she was transgendered, and started asking her all of these inappropriate questions. The mother in particular was, I would say the mother was rough. The mother was just a bit Claire Huxtable, a bit refined, a bit poised, new money. So, and the thing about mothers like that in particular, while I have never come across one, at the end of the day, I think you have to take it with a grain of salt, because as much as we may dislike her for the questions she's asking and the behavior that she's displaying, ultimately she's trying to protect and wants what's best for her child. So when you step outside of yourself and look at it from her perspective, maybe it'll give you a greater sense of empathy. I don't know. Anyway, so Blanca and her boyfriend Christopher go to dinner with his parents, and the mother's asking her all of these questions. And you can tell that there's going to be some contention between Blanca and the mother. And they have dinner. There's, like I said, there was a little bit of heavy energy, but it didn't really get too volatile at the first dinner. But after she left, Blanca felt the way that Christopher didn't stand up and defend her to his parents. And I don't really understand why she would feel away personally, because, at the end of the day, until you have a ring on your finger, you're just a girlfriend. And I'm not really of the mindset that I believe that my man has to fall out with anyone for me. Well, not his parents. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you do, preserve that relationship at all costs until we get married. So I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable giving him that ultimatum, if you will, to have to choose between me. And not that Blanca did. She just essentially wanted him to defend her. And during the second dinner, he certainly did. So they do a dinner round 2. This time the dad is absent, so it's really just Blanca, Christopher, and the mother. And it looks like they're at a French restaurant based on the menu, and Blanca's having a hard time reading the menu. And see, Blanca gets on my nerves with that. Sometimes Blanca is just too real, girl. And sometimes it's okay to be just a tad bit artificial. So she's, the menu's hard to read, and, just being all uncouth. And the mother starts, asking her questions about where did she grow up. Blanca's like, the projects. The the projects. I'm like, damn, Blanca, be easy. Just say Queens. Just say Washington Heights. The boogie down. Like, the projects. Blanca came with that heat. She was like, I'm from the projects, and what? So, and shout out to Blanca for keeping it 100, because I don't know, I would have found some way to sort of sugarfoot around that, for lack of a better phrase. But, so she asked Blanca where she's from. She asked her, why didn't her mother put her in classes so she could learn French? And I remember growing up, French was a really big thing. And I took some French in high school, and so I can speak a little French, but, what good is it doing? I should have taken Spanish. I wish I would have taken Spanish. It would have been a way more practical language to have in my skill set. So they go back and forth. And at some point, it gets so heated between the two of them. I think she asked Blanca, no, it actually came afterwards. At some point, it gets so heated that Blanca is just like, look, I'm a transsexual. Boo. I'm a transsexual. And this is what it is. And the mother's like, I knew it. Oh, did you, girl? Did you know it? Did you really? So the mother's like, I knew it. And, Blanca's like, sending the first out, telling the mother, like, oh, call me whatever you want to say. What do you think I am? And this, that, and the third. And the mother's like, look, my husband's a psychologist, but, this is a lot for me to digest. Like, give me some time, basically. And so Blanca stands up, and she's ready to storm out to leave her boyfriend and her mother sitting at the table. But the boyfriend gets up, and he's like, look, this is who I'm with. I love her. We're together. And if you're going to fall out with her, then you can expect not to be a part of my life. And I was like, if only it were that easy. You know what I mean? Like, man, if only it were that easy. We all know as transgender women, like so many of the men out there who love us, very often grapple with trying to find that balance between who they are and the relationship that they have with transgender women. And so very often they live in this sort of duality, you know, where they go off with their friends, have holidays with their friends and family, and then they want to do something with you on the side. Now, for me, in my world, it does not work that way. You know, if we're together, we're together. You know what I mean? Now, there may be instances where I choose not to be around, where I don't want to be involved, just simply because it's just not my type of hype. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't like to be around. Let me stop before I start sounding like Christopher's mother. Let me stop before I put there's just a certain type of environment that I don't want to be around. I'll just put it to you that way. So I really appreciate the fact that he stood up for Blanca. He had her back, and it's just like, man, that's some real love. But here's the flip side of that coin. As a transgender woman, if a man is willing to go to that degree for you, to come out to his family, to come out to his coworkers, to come out to his friends, and risk losing all of that for you, and the relationship doesn't work, and it doesn't work, oh my gosh, like, see, that would make me feel bad, you know what I mean? Because, you know, like, if you're, and that's where I would say to him, look, if you want to have this conversation with your parents, if you're ready to be transparent with your parents, no pun intended, then do that on your own accord, because I don't want you feeling like you're doing this for me. You know, you have to do this because you want to live with integrity. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to live in sort of this clandestine relationship. You know, you want to be open and honest about who you love. And so do that. So whether it's me or whether I'm here or not here, that's a conversation that you have to choose to have on your own, because I don't want to feel obligated to you if something doesn't work out between the two of us. So anyhow, he stood up for her. It was a very poignant moment, very sweet, very touching. What else happened during this episode? Pray Tell. Pray Tell. Now, I judged Pray Tell last week because of the whole perfume scene where he was Samboing and shucking and jiving and yes sir, massa. You know, like, I hate seeing that type of stuff. But Pray Tell must have heard me reading, because he came back this week and gave me everything. When I say everything, he gave me everything that I needed. Oh my God. So they're staging an intervention. They've had enough of, first of all, Blanca was just reading everybody. Blanca was reading everybody in this episode, man. The one-liners that Blanca delivered in this episode, she said something about keeping Prey away from the brown liquor, and I damn near fell out my chair. She was, I'm telling the read, she talked about his skin. She said gray is not a complexion. Blanca was reading in this episode, and I was here for every single moment of it. So they're staging this intervention. Angel and Lulu, they're still cracked up out of their minds. So there was a lot of drug abuse, substance abuse conversation that happened. And if you're part of the LGBT community, then you know that that is a really, really huge problem within the LGBT community. So I really appreciate the writers for having that conversation and working that into the framework of the plot, because it's an important conversation to have, even in this day and age. You know, lots of my friends, you know, are struggling with substance abuse issues. So I think that it's a very relevant conversation. It's very on topic, on trend. So I think that Poe's working it into this episode was really, really smart. So back to Pray Tell. So there's an intervention for Pray Tell, and everyone congregates at Blanca's house. They're having Chinese food. All the girls are there. And they basically started reading off the intervention letters, you know, to Pray Tell. If you've ever seen intervention on A&E, then you know how an intervention goes. And baby, Blanca was just like, look, Pray Tell, I can no longer do X, Y, and Z. Ricky was like, look, I can no longer do X, Y, and Z. And baby, the rest of the kids didn't have a chance, because by the time Ricky was done, Pray Tell was over it. Pray Tell was over it. And so Pray Tell gets up. I was gonna say he stormed out, but that's a lie. Pray Tell took his time and read every hoe in that room. He read everybody, and he spared no reads. He was like, look, I got smoke for everybody. So Pray Tell went around the table basically and held up a mirror, a metaphoric mirror, to every single person in the room and said, look, you're judging me, but look at your stuff, look at your stuff, look at your stuff. And, you know, people don't like to, you know, look at their own things, but he made some very valid points about everyone in the room. He read Angel and Lulu for their crack. He read Poppy for piggyback hustling. He read Blanca for, you know, being a narcissist. And baby, No, not Blanca. He read Electra. When he read, and Electra was the one reading. Did I say Blanca earlier? I meant Electra. Baby, when Electra, he read Electra, baby, she grabbed a hold of that bottle and said, cacao. She grabbed that, and baby was ready. So, Blanca, of course, stepped in between because Electra was like, look, what you're not going to do, honey, is read me. The Grand Dame, baby. Now, you may read these other churns. But what you will not do, baby, what you will not do is read she. So, Electra was not here for it, but Pertell read everyone, runs out the room, and there's more conversation centered around AIDS, HIV. There's another friend who's passing away, and so that's sort of interwoven into the plot as well. But that dinner scene when Pertell was reading, 10s across the board. 10s across the board. It was so good. It was great television. Another really good scene is when Pertell comes home and Ricky is packing up his stuff to leave. Oh my God, I felt so bad for Pertell in that moment. It was just a really powerful scene. So good. It was just so good. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that happened in this episode that I want to talk about. Ricky and Pertell broke up. Ricky decided to leave in spite of Pertell pleading with him not to leave, telling him how everyone leaves him. Shout out to Lulu for that Toni Braxton number. Shout out to Lulu for giving you, girl, boomerang Toni Braxton. Lulu pushed through with the Toni Braxton do, the leather jacket. I was here for every minute of she gave you a nasty, you mean the world to me. So I thought that was a cute moment. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm sort of over the ballroom scenes. Sometimes I really feel like the ballroom scenes are being forced into the plot where they're really not necessary. Give me a ballroom scene, every 3 or 4 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need one every episode. And I certainly don't need Blanca coming out every episode telling us how so-and-so who's dying would want you to complete this ball. Girl, no. No, I don't want you to complete the ball. Girl, come to the hospital, girl. You know he would, like, to me, like, some of those things are just so implausible to me, but it's TV. It's TV. So, I guess they have to do it. Is there anything else that happened in this episode that I forget to mention? Pertell did go check into rehab, even though being averse to it initially. He did decide that it was time for him to go and get himself checked into rehab. Blanca sort of did a one-on-one intervention with Lulu. Poppy did a one-on-one intervention with Angel. So, it looks like both of them are on the road to recovery as well. I wish it were that easy in real life, but again, it's television, so they only have so much time. One of the things I was going to say too, let me know, comment below, am I the only one that feels like Pose is building up to this huge season finale that's going to be a wedding between Angel and Poppy? I saw Angel in the wedding gown. They keep talking about marriage. The season is about to go off, so they have to end it hopefully on a high note. And I'm thinking, what better way to end it than to see a wedding between 2 of the main characters. So I think that's kind of where it's heading. I'm not quite sure, but if I had to place a bet, I would bet that they're going to do a wedding episode to close out this season. All right, you guys, that is it for this episode. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always, remember, why be bitter when you can be better? It is me, the Masked Trans, and I will talk to you guys again in my next video. Have a good day. Bye.